All right, afternoon, folks. Let's get ourselves just here. All right, guys, so we're going to continue on our lesson on the digestive system. Just as a bit of a recap, we did talk about kind of the major structures last time we met today. We're going to go a little bit more in depth, and then we're going to actually give you guys an activity to kind of investigate and look at those specific structures. And then towards the very end, we'll give you guys an interesting task to work on. So, moving on with this one. When we met last time, we talked about kind of the major different components outlined in our digestive system as well. First and foremost, we talked about the way that food is kind of broken down in our body. Does anyone remember what those two different ways were? We briefly mentioned it last time. There's two different ways that food is broken down in our bodies. Yeah.
Mechanically and chemically?
There we go, exactly. Mechanically and chemically. So we have what's the difference between those two options? Because mechanically, if you do like gears and stuff that break it down in our body, or what? Yeah.
Chemical is like acids and like
acids, yes.
Like enzymes.
Acids and enzymes. Okay, so we're going to highlight a few of those guys later on, but definitely. So we have some different chemicals that are breaking down that atomic structure. How is mechanical any different than
like
that?
Chewing. Sorry.
Like yeah.
Yeah, like chewing.
Like chewing, exactly. That's an example. We have our teeth and stuff like that. That helps mash us up around. All right. So we went over a brief overview of the different components of our digestive system, and kind of we went from our mouth all the way down the rest of our body. All of our food starts off in our mouth. Obviously, we are munching that down. Then it gets moved down our body into our stomach and our intestines and our different organs and different accessory organs as well. And then I'm not sure if we mentioned this last time, but we definitely our entire digestive system, if we were to kind of stretch it all out, it's 9 meters long. So it's like literally the length of this classroom, and possibly like almost twice the size of this classroom, which is pretty wild. And then if we ate a cracker, such as the ones we have here, it would take about 24 to 72 hours to fully digest and get through that system. My question to you guys is, why do you guys think it takes so darn long for that food to kind of digest through? Like, why isn't this 5 hours? Because I know definitely sometimes people are like, oh, I ate for breakfast, and then, why does it take so long? What do you guys think? Yeah.
Your body needs time to absorb, like
your body needs time to absorb. Okay, so maybe we want to get that extra time to extract as much as we can, all those useful nutrients from the food as well. Do we think all animals have a digestive system of 24 to 48 hours?
Like I'm thinking of rabbits, for example.
Rabbit.
Isn't it that, like,
You think rabbits are more or less? Yeah.
Less, because I think if you feed them right away, like you kind of have to feed them where they will poop.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like on the spot.
Really?
I don't know if the whole
It's very quick.
digestive
Interesting.
system is on
No,
spot,
it's very good. And then so then what about like elephants and giraffes, like big animals? Do you think they have longer digestive tract, like the digestion times, or shorter ones? Yeah.
I think maybe it depends on like what they eat, like what the diet is.
That's a good point.
Because like if it's like more like herby type things, then they would have to, obviously, they would need less time, I think, unless it had like a lot of starch.
Okay, interesting.
Because protein is harder to break down.
Interesting. All right, so hold that thought. So you said protein's harder to break down, and it depends on what they're going to be eating. Okay, so please hold that thought, guys. What makes up your diet definitely impacts the length of which you take to digest different things. So hold on, that's a very good point, John. So again, reviewing our different structures of our organism, we have our upper digestive tract, where we start with our chemical digestion in our saliva in our mouth. Because again, it's fun, because saliva, you wouldn't think about it, but it actually breaks stuff down. It doesn't break our teeth down, it doesn't break our gums down, but it breaks different types of food and different types of materials, because we already have enzymes in our mouth that are working to digest those things. And then there's the fun word that we learned is almost like the flow, the dance, the movement that all of the muscles in our digestive system do when they make to help move that food down. Because again, we're always working against, or we want that food to get moved through our body. And that specific action was referred to as peristalsis. It's a funky word. I'd recommend you guys kind of keep track of that word, because it might show up in assessment in the future. But peristalsis is the word that kind of, it's that muscular, that rhythmic motion. And I'm not sure if you guys would right now, but if you're hungry, you'll definitely feel it. If you put your hands on your abdomen, or like a little bit, and you press it in, don't press too hard to make yourself uncomfortable, but you sometimes can feel like a little twitching going on as well. that is your peristaltic movement that's being moved and that's moving your food down into your lower intestinal system. We have our small intestine. Small intestine is a pretty long one. It's 6 meters. It absorbs most nutrients. That's where a lot of nutrients are getting absorbed into our body. So we have larger nutrients that before we hit the small intestine, let's hit with our acid. Our stomach is, again, it's the most common thing we think about when we think about digestion, because that's where a lot of that first chemical breakdown happens. We have a lot of enzymes, very, very, very strong acids in there that help break down the material and break that food and nutrients down into things that our body can use. Then we go into our small intestine, where we get that absorption happening. So think about in our small intestine and in our large intestine that the walls are kind of like these sponges, if you would. The sponges that kind of absorb and they suck up those nutrients from that kind of that liquidy mush that's made its way down there. My question is, does anyone remember what the funky word was for that different liquid that we call? Starts with like a CH. It's like a weird term. I know. It's chyme, basically. CHYM. It's a very funky word. Don't worry about that one, but there's like that specific term we talk about, like our inside uses. And then what does that specific absorption, we talked about that almost that spongy action, are these little finger-like protrusions out of the stomach lining called villi. And the villi are basically have membranes, as we learned about from our cells, that are permeable, and they help absorb that material as well. We have our large intestine, which absorbs kind of the smaller stuff. Yes, Fallon?
How do the villi absorb nutrients? Like, do they like sweep them in?
That's a very good question. So because they have these finger-like protrusions, and they're all lining the inside of our, almost think of them like a fuzzy carpet. It has a very high surface area. Because that high surface area, the nutrients will just flow on through and over them. And there are specific types of cells in the villi that like to attract and absorb certain nutrients, right? So there's little pores, and they will absorb those. And we'll look about where those nutrients actually end up, because the digestive system, as with all other organ systems, is deeply connected. We'll get to that in the next slide. Back to our friend, the large intestine. Large intestine is once our larger nutrients and larger molecules are being absorbed in our small intestine, our large intestine is going to be basically absorbing whatever is left. So he's absorbing the water, the very, very small vitamins, think about almost like a size, like a sieve. The big stuff gets absorbed by our small intestine, and the smaller stuff in our water gets absorbed by our large intestine. The other interesting thing here we want to keep track of is the fact that we have a lot of bacteria, and a lot of bacteria that aren't our bacteria. These are their own microorganisms, and they live all over and around and inside of our body. However, the most amount of bacteria that we have in our entire body is located in our large intestine. It's almost like a jungle, if you would, of bacteria down there.
Is that why like probiotics are good?
Yes, so we're actually going to talk about probiotics in just a second and how they actually impact it. But yes, our probiotics, that's the kind of our those are the bacteria that probiotic is going to help. We have trillions of them in our body, in our small intestine, and they help us specifically. We exist in a relationship with those bacteria, and as we eat our food and that food makes our way down there, the bacteria, they're not really parasitic, like they're not harmful to us. We've evolved to grow and live with them in our body because of the fact that when they digest that food, they make stuff that they can't use but we really can use, like our vitamins. And then last but not least, we've talked about kind of the movement from our stomach, our small intestine, and our large intestine goes back around there, and eventually into the colon, into the anus when we release that food. There's also our accessory organs. The three big ones I want you guys to know about and be mindful is the liver, the pancreas, and the gallbladder. So they're funky names. They sit out to the side. The food does not pass through them, but they are responsible for making a lot of helpful things that help digest that food. So for example, our liver makes bile. Bile is kind of almost like a soap, like a detergent, think of it that way, that helps break down fats. Our pancreas produces our enzymes. So I know when Valerie was mentioning earlier, we have our chemical digestion happening with our enzymes. pancreas is a great big source of that, and our gallbladder stores our bile. So the bile that's made by the liver, our gallbladder is holding on to that because we don't use it all at the same time. Okay. Yes.
Sorry, I have a question
Yep.
about the bacteria that you
Yes,
mentioned.
absolutely.
So they help us because they produce things that we can use,
Yeah.
but they might not be able to use. So they're kind of like good bacteria.
Yes, absolutely.
So when we get sick, let's say we have an infection and we have to take antibiotics,
Mhm.
what happens to that bacteria?
Ooh, that's a good question. So as we talked about, in our previous lessons, antibiotics are used to kill bacteria, right?
Mhm.
When you have a bacterial infection, usually the doctor will give you some sort of prescription to kill that bacteria. However, antibiotics aren't really the most fine and precise tool. So sometimes when we eat them, they'll kill a bunch of other bacteria in our bodies that, again, because we mentioned earlier, they're bacteria, they're not our human cells. When we eat those antibiotics, sometimes they will actually end up killing those bacteria as well, and that will have a bad impact on our body. We'll see how, why that might be, because, and what happens when we start kind of killing all of those helpful, friendly bacteria in our gut.
So sometimes antibiotics can make you more sick.
Definitely, yeah, if you take too much of them. And again, that's why we have to be very controlled with our dosage, and the doctor will give you a specific dose of that antibiotic as well. So, all right, so let's head on over to our chemical digestion. So this is where I want you guys to think about the specific chemicals that are actually doing that digestive process. First one we talk about is our amylase. Amylase in our mouths. That's when we start eating our crackers, our rice, our bread, anything with carbohydrates. Amylase is going to help break down those starches. That's what it helps down, because again, we have a lot of starch in our diet. And interestingly enough, scientists have figured out people who eat a lot more starchy diets, like people who have very high rice diets, have a lot more amylase in their mouths that's being made than people who do not, which is interesting because that helps them break down that specific part of their diet. With our protein breakdown, we're going to look back into our stomach. Our stomach has a particular type of enzyme called a pepsin. Pepsins are the family of enzymes that break down protein. They break those protein bonds that keep the proteins together and break them down into their individual amino acids. When you guys get into grade 11, you guys will learn about kind of what proteins are made out of, but right now we know that the building blocks that make up our proteins are referred to as amino acids, and our pepsins help break those apart so we can use those amino acid building blocks, kind of like Lego. My question is, pepsin, do we think that it likes to live in an acidic or a non-acidic environment if it lives in our stomach? What do we think? Yeah.
It likes the acid.
It likes acid, right? Because we have a lot of stomach acids, they're very low pH. If you remember from our chemistry, a very low pH in our bodies. If we put it into an environment that isn't acidic and it's very more basic, do we think our pepsin is going to work very well?
If it mutates through natural selection.
Oh,
it
if we
might.
mutate it, that might take a little bit of a while. But if I just take a pepsin out of my digestive system right now and I put it into a basic environment, do we think that pepsin is going to still work properly without any mutation?
I don't know. The universe is a wondrous place.
Universe is a wondrous place.
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably the pepsin likes to live in that environment where it works most optimally. And then lastly, for our fat breakdown, we talked about our bile. Where does our bile come from, guys? Where does it come from in our bile? Yeah.
Liver?
Liver is going to be producing that bile, and think of it almost like a soap or a detergent that helps break down those fats, right? Has anyone ever helped their parents wash the dishes at home and they eat something really greasy and use that detergent to break that down? Yeah, that's what our bile is going to be doing. But again, it's not soap, it doesn't smell very nice, but it does the same effect. It kind of emulsifies that fat. Okay, so now let's think about, and this is where I want to link it back to, how the digestive system actually interacts with all the other systems we're talking about in our unit, in our body. So when I mentioned the guts and kind of the bacteria and how they're helpful, they're absolutely super helpful because of the fact that it impacts not just one, but it helps two other systems we've talked about already. Our nervous system. Our nervous system, there are a lot of neurons that are attached to our gut. So there are neurons, they have a lot of them in our brain, we have a lot of them in our spine and all over our body that help us sense and get that sensory information. We have a lot of neurons in our gut as well. And when our gut bacteria is not very healthy down there, or there's something that's happening, it will send a signal to our neurons and say, hey guys, there's something up here, there's something that's not right. And they will definitely be impacted by that. Similarly, our endocrine system, well, that's the next system we're going to be talking about, guys. That's what the system that has to do with hormones and hormone regulation in our bodies. Our gut bacteria is also linked to that as well, because they actually make some of the hormones that we can use and help regulate our body. So if our gut bacteria is not living happily in our lower intestine, then our hormone levels might fluctuate, and that might cause an effect on us. Ghrelin and other hormones that are produced by the endocrine system, such as insulin, ghrelin, leptin, those all are hormones that will impact the function of our body as well, right? So our hormones are kind of like our signal. Think of them as almost like little letters that we can send around to our body that someone reads them and their instructions on what to do. An interesting thing that people like to try and do is ghrelin, which is referred to as the appetite hormone. Sometimes there is actually, historically, there were some medical treatments that were put in place that people would take ghrelin, so that people who had eating issues or would overeat would take it, and they would say, oh, you know what, I'm actually full. So it would help kind of manage their diet that way as well. But it's kind of tricky, because when you start messing around with your hormones, your body will start to change accordingly if you're introducing hormones that aren't naturally produced. And last but not least, our circulatory system. So remember back when we talked about those little villi that Valerie mentioned, those villi are really, really closely linked to our circulatory system, because all those nutrients that are being absorbed from the villi are going straight into our blood system, so we can take those useful nutrients all around our body as well. Absolutely. So, all right, so let's focus in a little bit more on the gut microbiome. As we mentioned before, we have 100 trillion different microorganisms that are living in there. And it's not just one microorganism, there are thousands of different types of them, and they are very, very useful. And remember we talked about how in the lower intestinal tract we have those vitamins that are being absorbed into our system. These vitamins come from those bacteria, such as vitamin B and vitamin K. So if we start messing up that bacterial community through the use of antibiotics or different things in our diet, we're going to start noticing deficiencies in our vitamin B and our vitamin K, which are very, very important to a healthy functioning person. And again, they also help digest fiber. So if, for example, we have a not functioning microbial community and we eat a lot of vegetables, which are very high in fiber, then our body will not be able to digest those as well, and we might lead to some very, like some swelling or bad gut diseases as well. So as I mentioned previously, when we want to make sure we're taking care of that gut health, that's super important to our overall health. So when we do, if we do have to take antibiotics, we have to be very responsible and follow the instructions as best as we can. And again, sometimes the doctor might say, hey, you know what? You're not in a good spot to take antibiotics right now because we don't want to make you more unhealthy, right? So we have to be very responsible when we're taking those types of medications. As well, diet and stress are very, very important to us. We'll see that on the next slide, how that actually impacts us as humans, and why would me being stressed out about a test or something at school or not getting enough sleep impact that? Yes, Valerie?
So is that why, like, if I'm like really stressed before a test and my stomach is like not happy?
Potentially, yeah, that actually, so there's definitely, we talked about those hormones linking there. When we are stressed out, we are producing a particular type of hormone called cortisol. So we'll learn about that more when we get to the endocrine system. But when we have a lot of cortisol in our body, that gut microbiome does not like that very much as well. They don't like it. They don't like getting stressed out. You don't like getting stressed out. When you stress your bacteria out, they're not going to function as well either. Okay, so you know what? I can actually back this up for a little bit here. For you guys, my question is, what do you guys think we could do to help improve the health of our gut microbiome? So Valerie mentioned stress. So again, there's different things we could do to not get stressed out. What other things do you think we could do to become better friends with our gut microbiome? I think we talked about antibiotics being reasonable, yeah?
Can we do like eat anti-inflammatory foods?
Eat anti-inflammatory foods. Okay, so definitely, depending on what we eat, will definitely have an impact.
Like less like sugar and processed stuff.
Okay, interesting. Why would sugar and processed foods be different? What's up with like why would that part make up?
I heard some like naturopathic lady on some video I watched.
Okay.
Was like, she said that like if you eat a lot of unhealthy stuff, it stresses out like your microbiome.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm just making sure that the thing isn't there. Okay, cool. Absolutely. So what we're gonna pause right now and let's see here. Place that there. Absolutely. So we have to make sure that we have a balanced diet. Exercising regularly. When we exercise regularly, it's going to stimulate those intestinal muscles, make sure that food is getting moved down a lot quicker, and we are going to want to manage our stress, because if we are too stressed out, those who've got microbacteria are not going to be super happy with us. So, I'm going to wait for that one. What I want us to do right now, guys, is we have a bunch of different things in front of us right now. What I would like you guys to do is, the purpose of activity, I think if we had a bit more time, we could use these different stations. What I would like you guys to do is, to the best of your knowledge, I will put the image back up on the board. Let's draw ourselves a digestive system. And we're gonna focus on those major structures that we've talked about earlier. And I would like us to talk about a little bit about these different things that are happening. These are gonna represent our different microvilli in these different absorptions. So remember we talked about those sponges that absorb the nutrients? What I'm gonna give you guys to do is we are gonna make ourselves some nutrients to absorb here. So in here I have a powdered version of a vitamin D. What we're gonna do is we're gonna mix some water with that. And I want you guys to tell me where in once you've drawn your structure, we're gonna start adding on some things so we can figure that out, okay? So, with that said, would you guys like to come up here and then you guys can get started drawing, or I can move it back over there. And then I will give you guys these different labeled jars as to where in the digestive tract these things are going. Okay.
So we're drawing the digestive system?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, please. And I can give.
All right.
Who's the artist
No.
here?
Absolutely.
We'll do one organ at a
Okay,
time. One
yeah,
organ
let's do
per
that.
person.
Let's do that.
So, can I just draw like a head and then the body?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. One arm. Arm. We start with the mouth.
Yeah.
So, these are our vitamins.
One
folks.
organ.
I'm just kind of making that for you guys.
Okay.
When we're pass it around.
I'll
Draw the
draw
esophagus.
the esophagus.
Probably give him eyes and a nose after.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I'll do that. Maybe those are mine.
And like a cool hairstyle.
Okay, well this isn't really straight, but oh well. You want to draw the stomach?
Sure.
That's
Ooh,
cool.
I don't know how to do this.
What does his stomach
So-
even look like? Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm gonna close it off because there's a valve there.
True.
Ooh.
True. True.
Good
True.
one. Sweet.
Here's next year.
Back to Valerie.
Then you do the intestines.
Wait,
First the small and then the large.
can I do liver first?
Oh.
Yeah, should we include the accessory organs too?
Yes, please, yes. Yeah.
No, let's do the path first and then we'll
Okay.
do the accessory.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'm
Okay,
gonna-
okay.
I forgot what the duodenum looks like. Oh, it goes like
So
it goes
the-
like
the
that, and then the
small
big one
is
goes
all-
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a connection to the. To the large intestine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay, so I'm doing the. I'm going from around, but
Cool.
Mhm.
technically it should be like bumpy, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, you want to draw the rectum?
Girl, I think we could just do this and call it a day.
Mhm.
Should I do the liver on the side?
Oh yeah,
Liver's.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to.
it's like
It has three
it's kinda
lobes,
like a
doesn't it?
Like a
Yeah, but is
triangle almost,
this
Think
one
of
the
liver in the
biggest?
store. when you buy liver?
Hold on.
I don't remember what it looks like.
I just know that there's like
I do remember.
Yeah.
like something like
That's
that.
good.
Right.
Very
Ooh,
accurate.
artist.
Something
Guys doing
like
well? Okay, so as
Well,
well as
pancreas?
finish, yeah.
Pancreas? Pancreas is on this side, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Am I tripping out or am I
No,
right?
I think you're right. Yeah.
It's above the stomach, right?
I thought it was below the stomach.
I don't actually know.
Would you like me to check?
Yes.
So there's that one. The other thing I want to give you guys, folks. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hand you guys different components of the digestive system. There we go.
You're right.
The pancreas, right underneath the stomach.
Looks like a leaf.
So, ladies and gents, these are going to represent our wonderful little villi, which are present in both our large and our small intestines as well. Whereabouts on these would they end up? They're little absorbent fingers. Where would these end up? Yeah, you guys can take
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We did such a good job.
yeah.
Seriously, like.
It looks exactly like that.
Yeah,
Where
you guys
would
did a
they
really
end
good
up?
job. There we go.
The villi and the
Like
Duodenum?
lower.
Yeah, you guys feel free, bend
tract.
it around. Yeah, do that stuff.
I don't
no,
know.
like
Bend it around, yeah.
Like bend it?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I'll tie one. Give me one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
if
go.
we had some more time to actually like make a single long piece that you guys can kind of like weave in around there. See how many you can shove in there. Okay.
I guess that's what I'm gonna do.
Absolutely. No
I
worries.
like that. That's smart.
No worries.
I'm gonna do.
All right, guys.
Here.
I have in my fingers.
here.
This is a jar of bile. Do not open it up. We'll see.
Bile?
Where is our bile? And what's our function of our bile again, guys?
Emulsify fats.
Yes. What was it similar to?
Dish soap.
Dish soap. Right. So where does this belong? If I have my jar of bile, where would I put this? If I was to put it into my digestive system.
Well, it gets produced in the liver.
Okay. You guys can
But
put it.
then fat starts getting broken down in the intestines, right? The
Mhm.
small intestine.
Is there any particular structure we talked about that stores the bile?
Oh, gallbladder?
Oh yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Put it in.
We didn't draw a
Oh, we didn't
gallbladder.
do it.
You gotta
Oh,
put
we
it in
did?
there.
Oh, okay, okay.
I drew one with the pancreas.
Oh, perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So you can put that in there. In here, I actually have powdered amylase. So this is a type of enzyme that scientists can actually extract. and put it. Where did we see amylase being used, guys? Where did we see amylase being used?
In the mouth, because that's where carbs start getting broken down, right?
Interesting. All right, you guys can put it there if you
Salivary,
want.
Salivary glands.
Salivary
Yeah.
glands. There we go. Absolutely. Put that on there. Okay. Awesome. Now this is, folks, this is a type of very strong acid that we're dealing with here. What I'm actually going to do with you guys is I'm going to put a little bit of cracker in here, and we're going to mix it up. We're going to see if we can digest this cracker in here.
Okay.
All right. We're going to crack this up. Now, this is a bunch of acid that's going to be. What kind of digestion's happening with this one?
Chemical.
Our chemical digestion, right? Okay, so our acid's in there. And we
What
could
kind
do
of acid is it?
it is well for this one it's just vinegar, but in our actual we have phosphoric acid, or sorry, hydrochloric acid is what normally exists in our stomachs. But hydrochloric acid would be a little too dangerous for this activity. So,
Sorry, how come it's safe to have hydrochloric acid in our stomach, but we can't touch it with our hands?
because our body is very, very, it has designed itself to protect our stomach, because the inside lining of our stomach is very specialized to hold on to those acids. If, for example, someone is injured, or if there's a disease that causes that stomach to start leaking, that is not good for the rest of your body, because then that acid will start breaking down other things that shouldn't be broken down.
That's
So,
scary.
if this is a some acid that's breaking down our cracker, where is this going to go? Where would it go in your digestive system? Okay.
It's not right.
Okay.
See,
Awesome.
sorry.
Great. All right.
Getting bile
My
everywhere.
bad, my bad.
Once our digestion is happening, what we have here is we have these vitamins that are being broken down, and our green bacteria that are growing in there that are helping produce those vitamins. Where are these guys going to live?
Intestines.
All right, which one? Because we have talked about different spots
Small
in the intestines.
intestine.
All right. Large intestines. Good job, guys. Okay, so
Large or small?
Large or small?
where did
Large or small?
most of the bacteria
He
live?
said large.
Oh, really?
Okay, I'm putting it here.
And the large one. Yeah, the large one is further.
I did not know that.
Okay, guys. So the last thing I want you guys to do, and just for a bit of an exit ticket, is I want you guys to think of a number between 1 and 14, and I'm going to give you guys a brief. If we had some more time, I would give you guys kind of more time to investigate this. If you give me a number between 1 and 14, I will give you guys a particular disease that I want you guys to go look up, and I want you guys to point and explain which part of the digestive system that we have made together actually does that disease affect? So, you guys want to give me a number?
7.
7. You have diarrhea. There we go.
It's in the intestines
It's
because
okay.
there's too much water.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
I would say it starts in the stomach.
oh, where it starts or where.
I
That's
feel
okay.
like
if you want to look up
start in
diarrhea, you
the
can do that. Yeah.
stomach.
I'm going to give you guys other ones as well. So, would you like to give me a number between 1 and 14?
3.
3. You have celiac disease.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
Mallory?
the one that's no gluten. 13.
13 is appendicitis.
Ooh.
Ooh, look that up. You guys can just do
Appendicitis
a
is-
quick 2-minute search.
Small intestine.
Once you have you're confident in your response, you can write down where on your digestive system you think that disease most affects.
Can we write down the number
Uh,
or the actual name?
the name of the disease, and just put a little arrow as to where you think it's going to be.
Appendix.
Hmm.
We didn't draw an appendix, but I can draw an appendix. I don't know if that's what an appendix looks like.
Yeah, good enough.
Can you guys write
It's-
appendicitis on that side?
Thank you. I don't remember how to spell that.
That's okay.
Okay,
I think
awesome.
that's what an appendix
Oh, yeah.
is.
Fantastic. So for the interest of time, you guys have spent that time going, looking into that, and then
Yeah.
we'd write a little bit of a description as to what actually happens in each of those organ systems. I just want to do a quick recollection to talk about what we talked about today. So my quick question out the door. Would you guys like to share with me one interesting thing that you guys learned about the human digestive system today? What did we cover today? Yeah, Valerie.
I learned that meditation can make my gut microbiome happy.
There we go. You learn meditation. So definitely lowering those stress levels, because that stress has an impact on our gut microbiome. What else did we learn about today, guys? One key takeaway.
Oh, I learned that the stomach is literally built. Not the question that you just answered. It's built in a way where it can handle having such a strong acid.
It can build,
inside
yeah,
of it.
exactly, because that specific stomach lining can help that with that acid. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I learned that the digestive system interacts with other systems in our body.
Right. Awesome. Like which ones? Like what are those?
Endocrine system.
Like
for
the
example.
endocrine system.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. All right. So thank you so much, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue working on this activity. Just put down your different diseases on there. And thank you so much, guys, for participating.
Amazing.
Okay.
Hope there's no class after this 'cause